Mike McCool here in the Royal Examiner studio, and with me today is Walt Mabe. Walt is one of our supervisors on the Board of Supervisors. He represents the Shenandoah District. So Walt, welcome to the Royal Examiner. You come in here every so often and get us up to date on what's happening in the county. So,
well, I definitely appreciate the opportunity just to come in and visit. We don't get to do it enough.
No.
I'm kind of one of the quiet ones.
Sure.
But I'm out there every day, seeing my constituents, seeing people, seeing anybody that'll talk to me. We believe in listening to both sides all of the time.
Right.
And that helps me to understand and give a better, feeling toward the board.
Sure.
That we are listening. And
Right.
I believe that we are listening.
Right.
And I believe that we have an ear and an eye on every word that's written and every conversation that we have.
I tell people all the time that in the candidates, I said, you might be right, you might be left, but you're going to govern, you got to come to the middle.
That's correct.
Because you have to, because like you say, there's both sides have an issue, and you got to, in order to make it work, you're going to have both of you have to come together and compromise or negotiate or come out with, so that both sides can feel like they won, I guess. So.
Well, compromise is the way to make things work.
Right.
Listening to both sides is extremely important, and both sides are going to win, both sides are going to lose, and both sides are going to win, and both sides are going to lose.
Right.
So you're not going to make everybody happy all the
Right.
time, and that's one of the biggest things that I've learned in the last 3.5 years since I was elected the first time around, that there are different attitudes, there are different opinions, and they're always the only opinion,
Right.
and that's not correct.
And they change all the time.
And they change all of the time, and no matter what happens, you got to go to a different direction. Yeah. And you have to be able to realize that not everybody's absolutely correct, and you got to be able to trust and verify. We learned that a long time ago.
Right. And also, not everyone has all the information. I see it all the time. They'll read a headline in a story and start commenting on things, and then once they read the story or watch the video, they get the rest of the information, and their story changes. Well, I didn't realize that, or I didn't think that, and get a little more information. That makes a big difference.
Reading just a headline is not the way to do. Read the story. Read the whole story.
Yeah.
Then ask questions.
Right.
And then say, hey, Walt, send me more.
Right.
Or do you know anything that I don't know that didn't come from the story?
Right.
And if I know it and it's not a proprietary thing, I'll be happy to share it.
Yeah.
Because people need to know.
Right. That brings up a point, too. You just mentioned that, sometimes the information is protected, so to speak. We have rules and regulations and laws that, especially in people that are controlling personnel and legal issues, we just can't, we're not as transparent as we'd like to be.
And
at that time.
Yeah, in all honesty, we are trying, and we're succeeding to be as transparent as we possibly can.
Right.
And it works. But there are times when you just have to be quiet until you are ready to not be transparent.
Right.
And people don't always understand that, but it's a way that we govern. It's a way that we compromise. It's a way that we have people's understanding and ask for understanding.
Sure.
Because ultimately the question and the answer will both come out.
Right.
And we need to continue to do that.
The wheels move slow, but they do move.
They do move.
That's what I keep pushing it sometimes. We have to push them down the track, but it does move.
That is another thing that I've learned over the last 3.5 years.
Right.
You come into this hoping to be able to change it immediately.
Sure.
And I have found that you can't change anything immediately. You can have good ideas. Good ideas don't always work because me, as the individual, I don't know everything there is to know.
Right.
And sometimes it just won't work.
Probably when you got on the board, you've realized that, whoa, I didn't realize we had this rule, this law, this thing. I can't do it, and I got to do it for so many meetings, and I got to come back, and next thing you know, it's 6 months later, and it finally gets on the agenda.
That's correct. Coming on the board as a novice, and I was, and didn't claim not to be.
Right.
And I had to learn, and it took 12 months to 16 months or even longer to actually learn how some of the things worked.
Right.
And then on top of that, we had the pandemic. We had the moving of the statues. We had the Second Amendment for gun rights. I
Right.
mean, we had all of these things happening, frankly, in our first year.
Right.
We had a new board. Our board came in for change, and we changed.
Right.
We changed a lot.
Yeah.
And that leads me into one of the reasons that I'm here, and that's to announce that I will be running for my second term on the Board of Supervisors for the Shenandoah District.
That was my next question.
Yeah, I'm happy to share that with you and share it with the public, because it, in the words of other people that I've talked to, people that I've trusted, they are saying we're not done yet.
Right.
And we have so many things that we've got in the works, like transportation. Transportation is a big thing. We've got a problem in several of our areas, Shenandoah Shores being one of them. Mm-hmm. We've only got one entrance and exit. We've got to figure out a way to do that. We've got development that wants to go into there. We still don't have but one way in and one way out. We've got to figure out how to make that happen effectively.
Right.
Transportation is helping us do that. State of Virginia through VDOT is helping us do that. So things are moving forward, but they're slow.
Speaking of the VDOT, what came under your purview there, I think, is the flyover out on the Fairgrounds Road.
Yes.
Actually, I talked to VDOT last week, and the lady said, I'm working on the bid packages right as we speak,
yes,
and they'll be going in the mail, and so that process. So we're hoping that we'll be able to issue a bid in the middle of winter sometime, I think. But
I hope that it comes out to be that.
So it's moving forward, but look how long that's taken.
And I've been working on that I haven't been. Dolores Oates actually took the lead on that.
Right.
And she got a long way with it. She's done a great job with it. Now we're at this point to where it's being bid.
Right.
That means they've found the money to be able to do
$28 million.
$28 million.
Right. And it's state money. That's all our money, but yeah.
Yeah, it's all money, but it is money that's earmarked for that particular project.
Right.
Now we've got to bid it, and we don't know how much the bids are going to go up even now.
That's right.
Because we started with one way and now we're ending up in another way. It could be more.
Right.
We don't know just yet.
Well, I think that's going to make a major change in Rockland as far as developments. And then we got some issues on the board coming your way about some of that development. And once you build a road, they're going to come even more. So that's another thing to think about is these things. Sometimes our infrastructure, we want things and not realizing sometimes we open up a can of worms,
That is correct.
Yeah.
That can of worms can help us and it can hurt us.
Right. We got to make sure we plan on that. So what are some of the things you want to continue working on the second term?
Second term is I want to continue with developing how we handle the homeless. I want to develop how we handle our children, how we handle our library, how we handle Rockland,
right?
How we handle Shenandoah Farms, how we handle Shenandoah Shores. All of the people and all of the constituents that are within my district, all 8,100 plus,
right?
They all have a voice, and my job is to listen. I'm a go-between between the government and the people. I absolutely love it.
Right.
Sometimes I don't like the politics.
Yeah, sometimes it can smack you upside the face, can't it?
Yeah, it can.
Speaking of that, I don't think people realize how much work goes in being a supervisor or a councilman or something on the council. And there's a lot of people and we've had experience over the past where, they worked in the city and they drove and then they only ran one term because it ran them to death. And
it does.
You seem to be a good fit for this because you're retired and still young.
Retired, not so young anymore. But retired, yes. Do I have the time? I don't think that I have nearly the amount of time for what you've got to do. I mean, it is a full-time job.
It really is.
You go out and if you go out and you do all of the committees and all of the departments that we have to be part of because we're assigned to those groups, we're putting time in. And with time comes research. With research comes computers. And all of the stuff that goes with it, so we can make a logical decision for our people.
Sure. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah. Well, you get paid big money, so it's worth
yeah,
it.
we get paid so much that it's pitiful.
Yeah.
And just so you know, it's not a lot, but it pays gas.
It's gas money.
It's gas money.
That's it. It's again, people come into it and because they typically come in to run on a one issue campaign, so to speak. They're mad about something, which is okay, and they get like, I'm going to run and make the change. And as you well know, doesn't all happen that way. And realizing it's a lot of work. And we would encourage people, though, to run for public office. It's something I think very rewarding. I'm sure you found that out. And
every once in a while, someone out of the blue will say thanks.
Right.
And it doesn't matter whether it's thanks because you got what my agenda was
Right.
or what my issue was taken care of.
Right.
It's because they recognize that even though we didn't make it happen, we made every effort to try to make it happen.
Right. So yeah, sometimes we hit roadblocks. That don't mean we don't keep pushing it.
Right.
And it takes a long time. And we have, the county can only do so much. We get that a lot in the town politics because, the town is restricted by the county, which is restricted by the state, which is restricted by the feds. It's kind of they keep blaming the next person up.
Yeah, I don't believe that there should be a blame game at all. I believe that the town and county should be together lockstep to make sure that we're getting the best that we can out of both areas.
Right.
And when we see the 19 signs that are coming into Front Royal and it's pointing to Front Royal and it's pointing to Warren County, we should be grateful that tourism is coming into our area, and that
Right.
costs us little,
Right.
but it brings so much.
Right. So we have a county liaison meeting coming up in the next day or two.
Yes.
And I think it's good that we've got back into it. We went through many years where there's a lot of headbutting, and that kind of goes with the flow, But it looks like the council and the county are working together on a lot of key issues.
We're trying very hard. I think that we're making positive headway on the youth center. That looks very, very positive. Well, we had much more to do to the youth center building before we could actually get people involved to actually turn that building back into a youth center, which
Right.
the county and town need.
Right.
And we had to fix the sewer system. We had to fix the air handler units upstairs. I mean, we spent a ton of money. It's our building. We would have to do it anyway for no matter who. But that stuff takes time.
Right.
We were hoping to start something in late September, mid-October. It looks like now it's mid-November, late November before we can actually start. But positive,
wheels are
very
moving,
positive.
right? We're
Yeah,
pushing
wheels
it
are
down the
moving.
road, yeah. A great project that you got accomplished last year was that water park there behind the youth center. I see kids in there every day now during the summer. They love running through that water. So
They do.
that turned out to be something. That pavilion that you built there, that's been packed every time I go by it. So
Now, the people that actually helped build that was the Avtex folks,
right,
the retirement group there, and they fronted everything. It cost the county very, very little.
but
to
you
actually
greased the
do
wheels to make it happen.
Absolutely. And just cleaning up the water park. It
Yeah.
needed to be done. 30 years ago, it was built.
Yeah.
Now it needed fixing.
Yeah,
So it is.
So that's a nice little add right there to that park area.
Yep.
We have a lot of things like that in the county. That we have. We got a lot of parks, and I don't think people realize the amount of parkland that and events, facilities that we have all through the county. It's really each district seems to have a lot of.
Everybody has their own, and everybody tries to take care of. And I have to give a shout out to my public works people because they're the ones that mow all of the public fields. They're the ones that take care of the lights. They take care of all of the things that are necessary for those parks. They've done a good job.
Right. It's I think people just picking the trash up. It's a lot of things that people don't realize that it works to make all these amenities that we have a great thing, and you can see it. But sometimes we can't see the forest because of the trees, and our focus is on one little thing. Let's just start looking at the 30,000 view. We have a great community, and I think people are coming in droves. So I guess they must see something that they like. We're here. We don't appreciate it, so we're so close to it.
We're so close to it that I can gripe every day about something.
That's right. I hear people all the time complain, I'm moving out of here. This is wrong. This is wrong. I say, it's obvious you haven't lived anywhere else. You know?
It's we are no different than any other community, large or small.
Right.
We have always got our challenges, and we've always got things that we're going to have to be dealing with. You know, I look at what's going to be next. One of the biggest things that we've got right now is the library.
Right.
I can't stress enough the reason that I personally voted, because I'm one of 5 votes. That's the way it always works.
Right.
Frankly, I needed time to understand what the heck was going on.
Right.
That 90 days gave us a window. Now, there's a lot that goes into this. I support the library 150%. Those staff members over there do a great job.
It's amazing. It's an amazing gem in our community. I don't think people realize all the things. I mean, it's every day of the week they've got something going
every
on.
day of the week, and their budget dollars go for that. We've tried to accommodate everybody that we can, and this funny thing called what's the word? Conversation. No matter what you say, it's printed, and it can be printed, because as a veteran, I fought for it.
Sure.
As a veteran, you fought for it. These are things that determine our future. And our leaders are young people that use the library. And our staff are the ones that take care of it all of the time. Our director is the one that keeps the direction of the library pointed in the right direction. The trustees take care of it. I've publicly told the staff and Michelle Ross and the trustees that I'm glad for them. I'm glad they're around. I'm glad and there are people that oppose them.
Sure.
That's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to oppose people.
Right.
It's okay to oppose. I just don't believe that it's the right thing to do to bog down the system.
Right.
Compromise, communication works.
And just take the next step.
Just take the next
I would
step.
say compare our library to any community, and it's in the top. I think
Yes.
they do a great job.
We're a great library.
Well, I'm going to throw it out as another project. I think they've outgrown their space. So we'll talk about that at a later date.
I've heard that already, and I don't know if I can help on that.
I don't know how much stuff. I walk in there and I don't think, how do you get so much going on in this space? You know, we thought when we built it, I said, why is it so big? You know, compared to the old library, and they
And
filled
now
it
we
up,
need more.
and we need more. But I think because people use our library,
Right.
There's no doubt about it. It is used every day that they're open, and all
Every day
long.
that you're open, and 10 or 12 projects going on at one time.
all the time. So it's
all
great.
of the time.
Yeah, and they've done so much for so long for so little. They can do anything with nothing. How's that?
So just so everybody knows, I support the library.
Okay.
And I am willing to give everybody the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
We're working in good faith to bring a contract back to the county and the library.
Right.
And we're trying to get things accomplished so the compromise works, so that the people that are opposed get something. The people that want it and want to keep it going the way that it is and fund it correctly,
Right.
they're going to get something too.
Right.
So everybody gets something. Maybe not everything that they want, but they get something.
Right.
So
I think we have to
let's just
remember
keep
the
moving.
library serves all the county.
It serves
That's one
every person, not just a few.
Right. All right. So you got one more. That's going to take up your whole second term. So I'm sure you can
Yeah.
squeeze in a couple more things. What do you think?
Well, I mean, we did Low Water Bridge, and we got that done relatively quickly, and we saved a boatload of money doing it.
Right. It's amazing how many people go across that bridge. And I'm sure there's some people say, where's that at?
Yeah, God, Housever Road.
Yeah.
Instead of turn right on Housever Road, keep going straight, it'll take you right past Low Water Bridge.
Right.
Great bridge.
Right.
And
Great fishing hole.
a great fishing hole, great place where you can drop off tubes. You can do a whole bunch of stuff. But mostly people just go and kind of hang out.
Yeah. You
I
see
like
people-
it.
Yeah, it's great. And, you mentioned these Shenandoah Shore, Shenandoah Farms. Years ago, back 40 years maybe. When those things came to the county, I recall somewhere that Warren County had more subdivisions than any other county in the state, what they call recreational subdivisions.
Correct.
And these were never intended to be, when they first were proposed, they were never, these will just be people coming out and camping and do the weekend. They all have turned into full-time 12-month residencies.
That's correct.
And that's a whole nother problem.
That is a whole nother problem.
Yeah, because they were never developed or designed to do that, and no infrastructure was ever put in.
And now they want more.
Yeah.
And now the major plots have been sold in a lot of the areas, and now they're getting to the extra lots.
Yeah,
the extra lots
they call them.
Yeah, they're smaller, and they've got to be how can we build a house on it when it doesn't seem to fit? So there's lots of rules.
Yeah,
and
up and down.
And we're trying to fix that.
Yeah,
because it's hard.
But now they've turned into their own communities.
Yes, they have.
It's really grown, and they all have their own identities and things. So it's great. But that's brought on a whole other. Before they were like out of sight, out of mind.
Now they're in your face.
Well, they're right here, part of the.
They're part of the community. They're a valuable part of the community.
Right.
Shenandoah Farms for me has been a blessing and a pain.
Right.
Because we want them to do better. We want to do more than just the roads.
Right.
But Public Works is doing a great job in maintaining it.
Yeah.
Now, over the next 3 years, we're going to have to figure out a way to where we can make it work for everybody yet again.
Sure.
Lots of people that live in this community or live in this county,
Right.
they go someplace else to go to work.
Right.
They come back home. They don't really want to be bothered.
Right.
But yet our government is in their face with taxes, with roads, with whatever.
Sure.
We've got to make sure that we get them taken care of as well as the ones that are just in your face all of the time.
Sure. I remember I heard a comment from a former councilman and supervisor and delegate. He said, well, when I'm setting up at the meeting and we have 10, 20, 50 people show up and, have a complaint or want to make some change, he says, I always have to think about the other 15,000 people that didn't show up.
Correct.
And so he says, I have to weigh so if they haven't shown up, they must have an opinion too. And I got to think about that and not just make a decision on these 30 or 40 or 50 or 100 people that come to a meeting, So he said, and that's something that, you really don't think about that. You think the whole community's there, and really it might only be a very small handful of people. So you got to think both sides.
You've got to think both sides all of the time. And our meetings have been a little bit better than we started with.
Right.
We have people that actually show up. Sometimes there's, like you said, there's 100 people. Sometimes there's 200 people.
Right.
We've had as many as 350 people show up. And they all want to talk about something.
Right.
And they all want to talk. And we've had
a lot of 4-hour and 5-hour meetings.
We've had 7.5 minute meetings, and we've had 8.5, 9 hours.
Yeah.
And I'm going to sit there and listen to anybody that's willing to talk, as long as my chairman is willing to sit there and let them talk.
Right. Yeah.
Most people, they will have an opinion, and there'll be 40 other people that has the same opinion, but all 40 want to talk.
Exactly.
So
you've been very accommodating to the public comment areas. I think in the past it has been pretty much limited or just none at all, and then it seems like you're giving people to at least make that effort.
Well, one of the questions that I'm beginning to ask is, hey, admin staff, what do you think is going to happen tonight? I mean, they have a sense of what's going on too, and how many people are going to show.
Do I have to bring my lunch?
Do I have to bring my lunch, or can I expect to have a 2 or 3 hour meeting?
Right.
And I'm happy with a 2 or 3 hour meeting.
Yeah.
I'm also happy with an 8 hour meeting if we get something accomplished.
Well, one thing you did do this last time is you've eliminated the morning meeting.
Yes.
And you've gone all to evening, which is accommodating more people, because I think that was one of the things people were, oh, you have these 9 o'clock meetings, which was originally done to kind of balance out people that work nights and days, but it seems like the majority of the people prefer this night meeting.
They do, and we've been accommodating for that. I get having the morning meetings.
Yeah.
I do, but I also want to get to the most people, and the only way that we're going to do that is to have the evening meetings.
Right. Of course, the Royal Examiner started the video
Yes.
thing years ago. We started coming up. We showed up, I remember at the first meeting, what are you guys doing here, and to the town and the Board of Supervisors. And we started running the camera. Mark and I was over there all the time, have to put that camera in your face.
Yeah.
And that kind of changed. And the board now and the council have both gone to enhancing their own system, and so that pretty much all the meetings, are being recorded and put up on live stream where people can
Right.
At least watch them. So we appreciate that because we're getting wore out. We were putting a lot of hours in, but I think that was an important Mark to help get again more transparency in what's going on. And it's amazing, you get hundreds and hundreds of views on these videos, and I think that's important. School board, Mark shows up there on their work session because they have it over at Diversified Minds, and there's
Right.
no cameras, so we show up. It's funny. Last meeting they said we got to move because of the parade and stuff. Can you videotape our show? So that's our show, our meeting, and so we did. But it's amazing that how many people watch these things, and it shows the public is really interested.
They are, and I'm glad they are. I encourage people to come. I encourage people to volunteer. I encourage people to look out for their neighbor.
Sure.
Saying, there's so many things that you like. I may like what you're doing,
Right.
and I'm taking this from other people, but I may like what you're doing, and I will go along with it because I like it.
Right.
You may like it, what I'm doing, because
Right.
you like it. But if we have a difference of opinion, doesn't mean I don't like you. It means
Right.
we have a difference of opinion.
Right. Right.
And we need
And
to
that's
work
okay.
through this. And that's okay.
That's the thing people.
I like that.
Yeah, but not everybody does.
I know.
Well, Walt, we need to get together here in a few weeks and continue the conversation, I think. But a lot of things have been happening, and I think it's a good thing that we can get. We've had Cheryl and Dolores and
Yes.
other and you in here multiple times. But my goal is to try to get somebody from the board to come in and keep the public informed of what's going on. They don't always watch the meetings, and this is a little different conversation. You can glean a little more information and kind of get the person versus the guy that sits up there or the woman that sits up on the diocese,
That is true. We are different people.
Yeah, so we want to see a little different input from it. So congratulations or condolences on running again. And but I think you've done a good job in the last 4. Let's hope you'll continue for the next 4. And again, I try to encourage anyone to run. I think it's a great opportunity.
I think it is too.
Even if you don't win, you learn a lot.
You learn a lot. There is a lot to learn, and if I don't win, I don't win, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Because the next guy is going to have just as tough a job as I am.
Right.
He's got to be prepared for it. Whoever that person is, they got to be prepared
Sure.
for actually doing the work.
Yeah. It's a lot of work. Again, Walt, appreciate it. Thank you so much, and we will see you soon. All
Yes,
right?
sir. You
All
will.
right. Thank you.
Thank you.